Well, April showers bring May flowers. We got to have the rain. It's got to come. It's washing up all the rest of the snow and cleaning up the yard. And it'll be good for our garden. But we're not going to work outside today because of it. So we got lots of stuff to do inside as always. And today I'm going to make chicken broth. We save up all our parts from cooked chickens. Last year we bought a lot of chickens from a local farmer. All organic, and they were 6 to 7 pounds, so they're big birds. So we saved 2 carcasses for each pot. We're going to pressure cook it as opposed to leaving it on the stove for 18, 24 hours. We cook it for an hour and a half in the pressure canner, and then we'll either can that broth or freeze dry it. So here's our pressure canner. We'll just start adding all the different chicken bits that we have left over. We save all our bones. Whether you eat off them or not, you're gonna cook, bring it up to a high temperature anyway that kills off any kind of bacteria. There's a stray chicken bone that didn't find its way into the other bag from a recent cooked chicken. And then we save all our celery, bits of onions and stuff, some leeks in there. And then I'll fill it up with water. And while it's filling with water, I'm going to put some thyme in as well. Good handful. That's about how much water we put in. We've always had good luck with that. With 2 carcasses, we come out with some nice rich chicken broth. So I'll just put the lid on, check to make sure the seal's in place. Try to put the lid on. And then we'll turn the heat on full. After it starts steaming, then we'll put our 10-pound lid on it and cook it for about an hour and a half. It's almost there. We'll wait to get to a rolling boil before we seal it up and put the weight on. Didn't take long to put the lid on. We'll let it come up to a boil until it's blowing steam out. Then we'll throttle the gas back a little bit and let it go for an hour and a half. All right, the button has dropped down to tell us there's no more pressure in there. So we can take the weight off and open up. There's our wonderful smelling broth. Now we'll let it cool down a little bit, and then we'll strain all the bones and other parts, vegetables that we don't want in there anymore. All right, it's cooled down. Now we can strain all the bones and vegetable matter out of it. Here we are back in the kitchen. I got distracted yesterday, so I put the stock outside last night and some of the fat congealed on the top. So I'm going to remove a little bit of that before we heat it back up and prepare it for canning. You have a higher chance of the seal on the jar when you're pressure canning with less fat in. Fat will get between the lid and the jar, and sometimes it will cause the jar not to seal. I think that's all I'm going to take out. So we'll heat this back up now and get it ready for canning. And we'll get our All-American canner ready with the jars warmed up. While we're waiting for the broth to heat up, we'll turn this off and just let the heat stay in the canner. Keep the jars warm. All right, as we can see, the stock is nice and hot now. Turn that down. Our jars are hot. And we'll take them out. I like to hold the jar with the glove hand because it does get hot. The jars are hot. I could take it up to 1 inch, just to the bottom of the throat. Just like that. So we ended up with 7 jars. So we'll get the lids on them and then get them into the canner. Good idea to wipe the tops just to make sure you don't get any fat on there. That could possibly reduce the seal from the lid to the jar. We put the bands on. Just like that, not tight. Air has to escape. We put the lid on, lining up the arrows over here. Slight turn Always bend down to make sure it's relatively straight. And then put your thingies up. I don't know what they're called. Clamping bolts. Just snug them up. All right, we'll turn the heat back on, and once the steam starts coming out, we'll count 10 minutes and then put the weight on it at 10 pounds. Okay, we have a steady stream there now. We'll put it on the weight on at 10 pounds. And once it starts steaming, we'll start the clock and we'll turn the gas stove down. Every stove's different, so it doesn't really matter. You just have to figure that out on your own. We don't want it blowing all the time, but just stop, stop, just like that. There, it's starting to rattle. So we'll turn our heat down a bit. This is what it works on our stove, right about there. And then set the timers for 25 minutes. So we're at 25 minutes. We'll turn the heat off, let it cool down. So there's no steam coming out here. Pressure drops to 0. You take the lid off and we're done. All right, there's no more, a little bit, that's fine. No more pressure in there. We'll start cracking it open. First pop. There we go. Delicious chicken broth.